Welcome back, everyone, to the second Turn 4 podcast here, talking about the Mid Ohio round of IndyCar season 2021. It was a good race. Again, one of my favorite courses. I love these natural terrain road courses. Timmy, what do you think? Hey, Tim.
Great race, great day yesterday. Wow, I'm excited about today. Excited to talk about the race. Excited to talk about some news. I think we have something new in this week's podcast as well. Something about a mailbag or something over here.
We got new stuff coming on. So no better way to spend 4th of July in my mind is spending some time with family, spending some time on the water, and then spending some time watching some racing. I did get a chance to, of course, watch the IndyCar race, watched it a couple of times, and had a chance to watch Formula One as well. So that was a good race. The second Austrian race. This was the third weekend in a row for Formula One. As we all know, they don't enjoy particularly doing that. So, but you're right. Speaking of news,
and Dan, we got to go to the lake too, so we had a great time on the 4th. It was a real good time, and not only did we watch the IndyCar race almost as a family, right? It was really good, but we also watched the Tour de France, and that's amazing. Up in the Alps, racing in the rain. It's a good time. So if you're not watching that, you got to check that out too.
I think I've watched the Tour this year more than I ever have in the last 3-4 years, probably, or even since I picked up cycling myself, right? Over the last 5 years, I think this has been the most that I've watched it. I've enjoyed it. As you know, my texting and what I've been sending you, I'm very well vested in it, and I enjoy seeing it every morning. So
did Penske get back to you on that racing kit? I know you tried to get the same one that Pagano was wearing. Did they ever get back to you?
No, what the heck? To me, that's a missed opportunity. Again, merch store. These guys are missing out.
Can't believe it. I saw your tweet on that, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to get himself a Penske kit. But maybe it'll come. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Big news this week, Tim. I don't know if you heard. Chip Ganassi selling his NASCAR operation in full.
I did see that.
To the former driver named Justin Marks, former driver named Justin Marks.
And Pitbull, right? Pitbull.
Yeah, Pitbull's the partner. Yep, that's for sure. So Justin Marks has been looking for full-time charters over the last couple of years, only to be outbid in certain circumstances. He didn't want to bid the $10 million that the alleged going price for these full-time charters. I can't imagine that he bought the entire Ganassi operation for less than $10 million. So I don't really know that he got a discount in this situation. But courtesy of the Indianapolis Star, Mr. Nathan Brown, a couple of things that I picked out of his article. Who is Justin Marks? Again, I mentioned the entrepreneur. You can look up the rest of that. But he ran in the Xfinity Series with Chip Ganassi 22 times from 2016 to 2018, with a career highlight coming at a win in 2016 at Mid Ohio. Generally referred to as this is me talking now. Generally referred to as a road course expert is who he was. Made a quote great offer that acquired my attention, is what Mr. Chip Ganassi said. He said, I've always said if somebody comes and wants to buy one of your biggest assets, you need to look at it, whether it's your car, your house, or your business. You can always buy another one.
Yeah, I think he said it wasn't for sale, but the offer was too good to refuse, so they went ahead and went through with that. So that's good. I think that's going to bring a little more focus to Chip on the IndyCar series, and maybe another car or 2 or 3. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think he's going to throw some more money into the IndyCar series.
I think you're right. And so, of course, the natural question coming out of that one was, is there an opportunity, or should there be an opportunity to sign ex-Formula One driver and current Ganassi IMSA driver, Jan Magnussen, to a full-time IndyCar series ride? Chip's response, yes.
That'd be Kevin, though. Wouldn't that be Kevin?
Kevin Magnussen. Yep. Yeah. Sorry. Yep.
His dad's a little old, I think, to be in
his dad is.
Right now. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's still got a good foot there. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Is he looking to do that? I'd love to. Does he need a sponsor? Yes. So even with the flush tens of millions of dollars that Chip's going to have come the end of this season, he says that Kevin still needs a a sponsor to pull that together. So
maybe our podcast could be powered by Chip Ganassi Racing.
I think that's a great idea.
He's got extra money. He can sponsor us.
Absolutely. Ganassi was mildly less committal Saturday when asked about the LMDH. The LMDH program seems to be getting a lot of attention in IMSA and the Le Mans series, being able to run in both, which is coming in 23. He said Chip Ganassi says the answer is standby, news to come. So Cadillac hasn't announced their foray into LMDH just yet. I expect that they would fall into that area. I don't see why they wouldn't fall into that area. A number of manufacturers have committed to that already. I see definitely Chip getting into that. I don't see why you wouldn't do it with an organization like Chip Ganassi. To me, this just makes sense. I think to me, Chip is a IndyCar guy. I think his heart is in IndyCar. I think the NASCAR team has done well. They had a high watermark season in 2010, where Jamie McMurray won the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400. But since that time in 2010, they've won 9 races. And certainly the rest of everything else has thrived. There's no doubt about it. The IndyCar teams and the IMSA teams have certainly surpassed anything that NASCAR has done.
Well, he took Juan Pablo Montoya over to NASCAR to really, I think sort of kick that NASCAR platform off and really give it a high profile name. And JPM did pretty well.
I think he did real well. Unfortunately for me, when I think of Juan Pablo Montoya in NASCAR, I think of him hitting the vacuum truck or the blower, right? When he spun and smashed into the air blower.
Daytona going into turn 3, and for some reason the blower didn't have its lights on. No, they were flashing really bright, but he just ended up hitting the back end of that. That was pretty spectacular.
That was a big deal. So to me, that's the highlight that I think of Juan Pablo in NASCAR, which is interesting, right? It has nothing to do with on track. Second bit of news: Michael Andretti Autosport driver shakeup likely ahead of 2022 comes courtesy of our friend Marshall Pruitt on January 28th. Quote from Michael: "I think there's going to be some change on the driver front, and the goal is to stay at 4 cars."
There's going to be change for sure.
There's going to be change. We know that Rossi and Herta Mania 2.0 are signed. So there will be no changes there, which there's no read between the lines here. It's pretty obvious, right? It's going to come down between what happens to Ryan Hunter-Reay and what happens to James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. And when you hit your teammate, knock him out of the race, probably not going to be with the team next year, but who knows? We'll see what happens there.
We're going to talk about that. I saw it differently, as you can imagine. Hunter-Reay this year, single top 10 finish, a 10th at the second Texas race, and a best result of 14th for Hinch this season so far. Further quoting Michael Andretti, nothing's finalized in any of it, but there's going to be some change, I'm sure. So Michael is looking at it like Michael's looking at it like Rossi and Hertamania 2.0 are able to pull out everything they can from these cars and deliver some finishes. And even if the cars aren't great, they're able to put that aside and still get some good finishes. Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Who's going to go to Andretti, right? You figured that one out, Dan.
Bring it to me.
Well, I really think it's going to be Ferrucci. I think Santino's going to Andretti.
It's interesting you say that. I think that Ray Hall Letterman needs to figure out what they're going to do about Ferrucci and get him signed, so it prevents Andretti from coming and taking him into that fold.
And I was saving that for later in the broadcast here, but I just couldn't hold back. It's one of those things that I think he's going there for sure.
Couldn't hold back on the hot take.
No,
the hot take.
I couldn't. When you look at his results, 6th, 10th, and now another great result. How do you not look at that kid? He's really good.
I agree with you. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's definitely somebody that anybody would be looking at signing to a full-time deal. I think in that case, though, it's pretty clear that Ferrucci is a paid driver, not a paying driver. So if somebody has some sponsorship dollars and they're able to put that out there, a la Genesis, right, a la DHL, maybe that's how you put that in there. But Hy-Vee, who's the sponsor that has been working with Ferrucci and Rahal Letterman, Hy-Vee has been all in on IndyCar this season and really embracing it. And then if you see some of the social media aspects of it, they're activating in store too. So that's definitely the best kind of sponsor and the best kind of opportunity that you can get there. I think you're right. I think it's a possibility, but I would be very, very surprised if Ferrucci goes anywhere except for full time with Rahal Letterman next year. That's what I think.
So I just heard he's staying with Letterman, Rahal Letterman.
That's my hot take.
That is your hot take, huh?
That is my hot take.
Disagree on that one. You tend to be right more often than I do, so I guess we'll see where that plays out. But I think he's way too good to maybe. I don't know. I guess we'll see. All right.
If anything, I think he's elevated that team. The time that Ferrucci's been there with Rahal. Yeah,
even on a part-time basis, which is huge.
Yep. And finally, Jimmy Johnson exploring oval testing options to prepare for Indy 500 in 2022. If we pull it from the archives, babe, right? Pull it from the archives. Road America, Dan Maldonado, bringing you this hot take, right? There's no way Jimmy Johnson's going to run an IndyCar and not run in at IMS. So our friend
has to get some results. He has to.
He does. So our friend says, this comes courtesy of NBC Sports, Nate Ryan, the 7-time NASCAR series champion, told NBC Sports he wants to test at either Texas Motor Speedway or Homestead in the next 2 months in anticipation of running the fall tire test at Indianapolis and complete the rookie orientation program that's required for the Indy 500. So, we know that he came here with reservations about running on the ovals. The safety, the speeds, it's very, very different. I think he's, after spending 9 races or however many races he's been in an IndyCar 7, I think he understands the safety of it. I think he understands how to work that out. I hate to see our 7-time champion churning around at the back of the field and cutting grass and doing landscaping the way he's been doing it. But,
let the testing begin.
Is he gonna automatically be a top 5 competitor like the rest of the Ganassi teammates just because he's going from to an oval? I don't know, man. I really don't know.
I don't know either. Put Ferrucci in that car. See what happens.
Hey, a couple of things out of the mailbag. I'll sum up in general. We got mail, Timmy. We got mail.
We got mail from listeners.
Mail. That's
awesome.
So
I can't wait.
In a nutshell, everybody was very, very kind in their words from our pilot podcast on Road America. So that's very nice. We thank you for that. Everybody said that the tech problems were not as bad as I had referenced it a few times during the podcast. I think that really goes to show you the expertise and the professionalism of our editing department was able to take care of that.
It's a good group. Very good crew.
It's a good group there. So a couple of the things though, just behind the scenes, the giggles that happen occasionally, and then I refer to the tech is because the screen froze. I couldn't hear anything Tim was saying. I didn't even know if anybody could hear what I was saying, but I would just continue to talk and listen to myself talk.
And then you sent me screenshots of me frozen, which was really nice to see.
Those are fantastic, dude.
Those are good. Those will get on the internet at some point, I'm sure.
Gotta hope so. One notable listener writes in, "Dear Knucklehead, Paul Tracy made his debut with Coyne in 1991, where he, quote, leased a car to run at Long Beach. Later that same summer, he was signed as a test driver for Penske, where he made his Penske debut at MIS, probably the race that Tim spoke of, and made it to, well, that makes it clear that he was talking about me as the knucklehead because he got your name right.
It sounds like you're the knucklehead.
Yeah. And made it to lap 3 where he crashed hard, resulting in a broken leg. Tracy ran 11 events the following year for Penske in 1992, subbing for the injured Rick Mears. Mears would announce his retirement at the end of that season.
So I think I said he walked away, which would be incorrect if he had a broken leg. He was on the stretcher. He lived away. In those days, that was pretty much a walking away incident, right? From the standpoint of you should be more injured than you are. So I'll take some credit that he technically could have at least hobbled away, but yeah, he was taken off on a stretcher.
And he becomes the.
But I was right on that one. That's interesting.
Yes, you were.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wow. Kudos to Tim.
And it was a gorgeous blue Mobil 1 car. Painted in the same scheme as the rest of the Penske's running the old Marlboro scheme, but this time blue with Mobil 1 on the side.
It was beautiful, beautiful car.
Yeah, great looking car.
Too bad he tore it up. I'm sure it's in Roger's warehouse somewhere with all the rest of his cars, and it's sitting there.
Yeah, isn't Penske or somebody working on something for Roger Penske, like a museum or something like that?
Yeah, I heard here in Oakland County, Michigan, that he is putting up a museum with all of his cars, but that's just rumors, I think. But I got some inside sources that were saying that that's going up here soon. He purchased some property. Apparently, he's got a warehouse or two full of vehicles and potentially going to put those on display. So we'll look forward to hopefully seeing that come to fruition here. But yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see how soon that happens, but I think he's got cars, a ton of cars that he could definitely put out there and have on display. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it'll be the first on location for the Turn 4 podcast, but since it's not yet broken ground, we could find ourselves at a race before that Penske Museum goes up. But look forward to a future broadcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, maybe at the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix coming up in August.
Yes,
maybe we'll be on site. Who knows?
That would be wonderful. All right, so about time. Joseph Newgarden, Team Penske, delivers a win at Mid Ohio yesterday. I don't think there was any doubt in my mind that Joseph Newgarden was going to be victorious in this. Had there be no more technical gremlins or anything come through that would prevent him from doing that, because it certainly wasn't anybody that was going to take him out. I think out of the best that was going to have an opportunity for that would have been our friend Herdomania 2.0, but we'll talk about that. I think he deserved it. I never say that anybody deserves a win in this thing, but given how strong they were at Detroit, given how strong they were at Road America, and then yesterday, they owned the weekend. So he definitely deserved it. Tim, what do you think?
How strong they were. They dominated. So it's no surprise to me that they came through at Mid Ohio and won from green flag to checkered flag. I think he only he didn't lead just two of the laps because of pit stops, but other than that, he dominated.
Yeah, it was
with a little bit of drama in there, that we'll talk about.
Definitely at the end there for sure. Of the rest of the Penske teammates, Scott McLaughlin in 12th, Simon Pagenaud at 14th, and Will Power 25th. Will was racing hard with Scott Dixon in that, and just got pushed at the right time, the right way, and spun himself out on that. I don't think there was anywhere really for him to go. I don't think that was anyone's fault. I don't think that, Power needs to resurrect his old saying of Scott Dixon years ago was, the guy races me dirty. I don't think it was a dirty race. I just think it was what it is. Right. And and then he created the smoke screen trying to keep the thing running, trying to get it back pointed in the right direction. And then Ed Jones had nowhere to go.
Yeah, everybody else got around it, but Ed Jones just found the front of him and just decided to hit him. So no fault of Ed Jones, I guess, but that's very disappointing for that team and him not being able to get around that incident. But he did, speaking of Power, he did spin those tires and he created that smoke screen. So some of that fault goes to him for sure. But yeah, he was racing Dixon hard and trying to stay in front of Dixon. And, Dixon was on the reds, Power was on the blacks, and he probably should have just let him go and went on with his race and got him later in the race because Dixon was holding some people up there near the end. So, disappointing for Power. But, you look at Pagenaud, he's back there at 14th, McLaughlin, like you said, at 12th. So you got to look at those. And then obviously Newgarden with the win. Good job by Penske there with the win.
Yeah, but it's feast or famine, right, within that entire team at this point. So maybe with this win behind them, and Power's been strong. It's just been bad luck again for Will Power. I think he just tends to draw that on. I will tell you though, I think when he did his interview after when he came out of the medical center there, I think it was a much different Will Power than I think anybody expected to see there. Even Lee Diffie mentioned, right, talking about a fired up Will Power, and he really wasn't fired up at all. He was more bummed, seemed more sorrowful than anything.
Yeah, and I think it goes to just trying too hard, right? Give up a position, move on with your day. It's early in the race. You shouldn't be banging wheels at that point, and you decided to go in that corner and couldn't back out before Scott came down on him and just tapped his right front, or his right front tire.
Yeah, you're right. He knew that was going to be the case, right? That Power was starting on blacks, Dixon was on reds, that he knew that he was going to struggle to keep people behind him who were on those red tires to begin with. But you're right. Why not take the step back and then just bide your time to get up to take that position back, or when the black tires start to come in, then you have an opportunity to do that. At this point, you got no opportunity to do anything, right? He's got a bummed out wrist now, a broken race car, and now he's got a month to think about it. So, if I were in Will's position, I don't know how I would react to that. But again, right, sitting from where we sit, that just looks like the obvious thing to do.
Agree, 100%.
So moving on, Ganassi, man, Chip Ganassi has got it going on in IndyCar this year, really does. Ganassi, Ericsson second, Alex Palou third, Scott Dixon fourth, our friend Jimmy Johnson in 22nd place. Ericsson, I think had a good race throughout, and then really started to come on strong at the end there, where he was just hunting down Joseph Newgarden. I think with 2 or 3 more laps, or maybe, I think this would have been a different outcome. I think there would have been either they both would have gone out, or maybe Ericsson would have gotten around him. But once he turned it up and started coming at Newgarden, there was no stopping him at that point. So I think the win at Detroit for Ericsson has helped between the ears a bit. I think that helps that team understand that they have the right to be there with the other two Ganassi drivers, Palou and Dixon, because we know Johnson's situation is different. This is kind of a learning year for him. But Ericsson has proven himself to be able to race every day and be amongst Palou and Dixon.
Yeah, Team Ganassi is the team of the day, I would say. You look at the results, they're awesome. You got Ericsson, like you said, in second, Palou in third, Dixon in fourth, and Palou got third. If you look at that on his last stop, he jumped 2 positions. So they must have short filled that. He must have been saving fuel sitting back there behind. It was sitting back there behind Dixon, as well as Rossi there for a while. So he was sitting back there, must have been saving fuel. He came in for his final pit stop, and then he jumped both of those guys that got him to third. So that was really good result by him.
Yeah, good result. And we've seen that Ganassi, right? Ganassi likes winners. Well, Ganassi does like winners, but if you can't win the race, finish second. And if you can't finish second, finish third.
Yeah, Palou, I watched a little bit of qualifying. Palou was excited about his 7th place. He goes, well, it's not top 6. We would have loved to be in the fast 6, but we weren't there. And he goes, well, we got a good race car. We'll be there at the end of the day. And he was there in 3rd spot. And really, the crew did it. And obviously his fuel saving, I'm assuming that's how they got in and out that quickly. I think they did a couple laps extra after the other 2 pitted. And he got up on the podium. So good for him.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt, right? If you qualify 7th, but you've got the strength of that team, and you've got a strong car, I don't think there's any reason to hang your head on 7th place qualifying. I think you just go into it with a good attitude, know your strategy, stick to the strategy. Don't do anything dumb. Palou extends to 39 points ahead of Award, and continues to lead the championship there. Dixon third in the championship, very aggressive earlier with with Power, as we discussed. But I don't know that aggression was unfounded. I think he had a better car and he was on red tires. I'm coming through you, Will Power, I think is where he was at. Jimmy Johnson, finishing 22nd. Honestly, I know it's been a tough year for Jimmy, but I couldn't think of a tougher course for Jimmy Johnson to get his his road course experience behind him in an IndyCar. I think than Mid Ohio, with the hills and the undulation and the track falling away from you. You're not going to see. You just got to know where it goes. Some of the in-car that you see with Jimmy, I've noticed he seems almost tentative, even when he's being passed by, not necessarily for position or whatever. I think he seems a little tentative there. I think it's just not sure of himself. And the guy's a 7-time NASCAR champion. He's not a dum-dum, right? So
that's true.
So he's smart. He's playing it smart for sure. But I think he can afford some chances at this point to try to pull himself out of where he's been.
Yeah, and I think we were talking a little bit earlier, but during qualifying, and I helped cut the grass there a little bit. He went off he had cold tires and was trying to get up to speed, and in the carousel there, he cut the grass a little bit. So he's helping out the maintenance crew. So it's nice to see.
Good for them.
Yeah,
good for them. So yeah, it's a hot weekend. It's a holiday weekend. So Jimmy doing his part to help out. So good on you, Jimmy J. Andretti Autosport. The Andretti Autosport, there's going to be change. Alexander Rossi finishes 5th, Herdamania 13th, Herdamania 2.0 and 13th, James Hinchcliffe then 17th, and Hunter Ray 24th. So overall, great day by Rossi. I think he pulled out everything that he could possibly get out of that car. I don't think there was anything more to come from that. Again, the in-car camera, it seems to me like all 4 wheels are loose, or he's riding on ice all the time. His hands are going all over the place all the time. I don't know if that's just the best way to get out of those Andretti Autosport cars, or if that's just how it's working out. But it just feels to me that it's always a handful.
Can you believe that Rossi's 5th is his best finish of the year?
If you would have asked me that at the start of the year, I'd be like, oh, you're crazy. The guy's got to definitely be, a top 5, top 6 car every session, every round, but it's just not coming together. And I think he wringed its neck yesterday. Got everything he got out of that car yesterday.
Well, they all qualified in the top 10, so that's the first for Andretti this year. So that was a good result there. And then they had a little bit of bumping there in the beginning that caused Ryan Hunter Ray to hit the fence, and then you had Hinch spin there, and then they sort of came back, and then Herta had his issues, right? So what I see is a little bit of attention to detail there on the Andretti team that kind of happened with not only Herta but also with Rossi, right? His air vent came off.
Yeah,
which I don't know how that's not a penalty. I don't know how you drive the whole race without a mandated air vent. That scoop came off. So where's the attention to detail to put that down where it needs to be? And then how come you're not checking that fuel rig? But
yeah, it was a bit of an aero advantage, right? They pointed that out on the broadcast for Rossi with that vent coming out. Herta, a bad fuel probe in that first stop. It was 25-second stop. My God. I mean, he really was the one that had anything for Newgarden in the first part of that race. And then the second stop, he stalled it. Bad on the team, bad on the driver. It was a bad day entirely, right? Because of pit stops that walk in there. Hinch and Hunter Ray.
Then they had to pit with 1 lap left. Did you see that?
No, I didn't notice that. Nope.
Yeah,
Good catch by you.
Yeah, so no, he went in the pits on the last lap there to get some fuel, I would assume, and fell back further in the field because he was up there in the hunt for a top 10 finish.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you didn't see that, Dan.
Yeah, it's I watched it twice. But yeah, just a miserable race for them. I mean, if it couldn't go any worse. I see, and I know you and I disagree on this. I really think that first lap incident that spun Hunter Ray, that spun Felix Rosenquist, and Hinch was involved in there. That was just a checkup. I really do. I think that's a checkup by the rest of the field. And I think in some of those cases, you're just a victim of circumstance, right? I think it's a racing incident. It's very, very tight. Everybody's anxious to go. And sometimes those things check back and there's nowhere to go. I don't think that was, again, to use my favorite term, I don't think Hinch, was being a dum-dum there. And I hate it for Hunter Ray. I hate it for Hunter Ray. I really do. But I think that's just bad luck.
Yeah, I just think it's just the optics are really bad when you hit your teammates, so it's not a good position for him to be in the hit Hunter Ray. But yeah, I think it's just a fact of lap one, right? Everybody's trying to get as far as they can in front of the next guy, and everybody gets backed up, and you end up hitting your guy. So
yeah, you're right. If you're going to hit anybody, don't hit a teammate. I think that's the worst thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah, turn left, hit somebody else.
Right. Take somebody else out.
If you have to, right?
Right.
What you got to do.
But it's funny you mentioned about the top 10 qualifying for everybody in that team. This article comes out where he's talking there's going to be change. Michael Andretti has been doing this for a very, very long time, and he's a smart individual. He's a great driver. He's he's definitely proven himself to be a great team owner. I think there's messages that go out to your team that, okay, you guys aren't hearing it at the factory, so to speak. You're not hearing it, in our team meetings or whatever it is. I'm going to put it out there. And when that thing went out there, top 10 qualifying effort by everybody by all four drivers. So you would think, obviously, right, they're all professional drivers. They all been doing this for a very, very long time at multiple levels. So do they need that type of motivation? No. But I think from human psychology, I think it definitely puts a little bit a fire under your seat, right? To
it sounds like
what you can.
Yeah, it sounds like corporate America to me. If you're on a sales team and sales are down, they start saying, you better get your sales up. Otherwise, there's people going to make some changes around here. And that's what happened at Andretti this week. And they all came out and did really well in qualifying, but fell off during the race. And, Herta, those two bad pit stops, one was on him, one was on the team. So he came back, but again, he fell out of the top 10 there at the end.
So we'll see how that transpires for the Andretti team going forward. I expect that, Herta and Rossi will continue to be, the co-team leads there and really posting the results for those two teams. I hate to see that for Hinch. I hate to see it for Hunter Ray, but I would like to see Hinch get one more year in that, because I think, having sat out last year and then come back this year, I think I'd love to see somebody like Roman Grosjean in that DHL car. I'd like to see somebody like Oliver Askew in that DHL car. I think Ryan Hunter Ray's a good driver. Ferrucci, he ain't going there. He's going to Rahal Letterman. Told you that. Book it. It's a hot take. Book it. But I think that's to me, that's where I'd like to see that happen for Andretti. Speaking of Ferrucci and Rahal Letterman. So Graham has a finish of 6th, Ferrucci in 9th, and Sato down in 10th. Rahal started in 8th with a good finish in 6th. And to me, I feel like this is largely due to a good qualifying effort by them, which that Rahal Letterman team, it doesn't matter who it is, they just do not have it together in qualifying. They've got, race cars that are really, really good, but when you're starting in 15th, 16th, 17th place, a 9th or 10th place finish is probably the best that you can possibly achieve out of that. It was good to see them start higher. Well, Graham starting higher, and I think that leads to Graham's 6th place finish. Ferrucci, it was interesting. Ferrucci's goal was to finish strong and not in my words, wad it up somewhere over the weekend. He said he prides himself on not having crashes or breaking race cars. And he's broken 2 race cars over the last 3 weeks. So it was a good result by him. Sato in 10th. And I think for the most part, Sato was quiet most of that race.
Yeah, he was, which is interesting. Typically he's bumping and banging somebody, but he was not, and he didn't get any coverage, but finished a solid top 10. And I just think it's interesting for Rahal Letterman Langham Racing there, that they're almost my second best team of the weekend, right? When it comes to race day, because they did a great job getting all 3 cars in the top 10. So really good to see that. And Ferrucci coming from, he started 21st or 22nd, one of the two, and coming all the way up to 9th. That's a great drive for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can't not notice what Ferrucci did, starting as far back as he did. Came through the field cleanly, right? Didn't have any incidents there, was no offs there. He was real smart and very calculated with what he was doing. I like you, I think that Ferrucci is definitely the lead domino in the 22 silly season on this. I think he's going to go to Ray Hall Letterman. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind there. I think it's far enough down the road where I don't think, somebody like Michael Andretti is going to be able to make that change that quickly. But yeah, I mean, the kid's talented. He's good, and he's proven it, and he's doing everything there. And I think that he elevates that team.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think Ray Hall in the day was Ray Hall. That's how Ray Hall drives. He's a smart driver. He's very consistent, and all of them must have had really good, clean pit stops to finish where they did. So I got to give it to the crews for doing that for the team, and then the drivers taking action on the road.
Yeah. My favorite driver this season in our next category here, Roman Grosjean in 7th.
I was going to say, isn't that the purple car?
It is the purple car for Dale Coyne Racing. Started 18th, finished 7th. Timmy, come on.
Yeah, he's really good. He knows how to get those vehicles around the track for sure.
He does. And he wasn't the purple pinball that he was at Road America.
He wasn't, but he did have some damage to his nose on that first lap incident.
And that's fine. A little damage here and there, right? Paul Tracy would tell you
though,
that's just how it works.
Change that wing out. If you're watching Formula One, they immediately change that wing out, but it must not have that big of an aero effect because they left it as is, and he finished 7th.
Yes, and his crew told him that there was going to be a center of pressure change because of that nose or whatever it was, but I don't think it really made any difference to him. I mean, he finished 7th, started 18th.
He was catching that group at the end of the race, right? So Dixon was holding up with long group of cars, in my opinion.
Yep.
He was holding them up, and then so you had Grosjean go up there, you had Ward get up there, you had Herta was up there again, so they all kind of bunched back up behind Dixon. I think Dixon was just kind of holding on, which surprised me that Rossi didn't get around it, but it looked like Rossi was kind of holding on as well. And then you had Ray Hall. I think Ray Hall was being Ray Hall and being a little conservative there and didn't get the pass on Rossi. But overall, I thought, man, they're all stacking up here. And, he even passed O'Ward there at the end.
Yeah. Great moves by Roman. Class of the Coyne operation for the weekend for sure. He finishes 7th. Ryan Norman, who was in as a test, finished in 20th place. Ed Jones, 26th. He, of course, got caught up in the willpower incident. Ryan Norman, you know anything about Ryan Norman prior to this weekend?
No, not a thing. And I was looking at that going, who's Ryan Norman?
Yeah, the 23-year-old Ohio native. Formerly drove for Andretti in the Indy Lights program from 2017 to 2019. He's a former motocross driver. We started his motocross career at 12 years old, which is crazy, right? What was I doing at 12 years old? I was playing Defender on a Commodore 64. And then
my matchbox cars out in the yard.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. And then drove for Herta in the Michelin Pilot Challenge in 2020. So more to come from Ryan Norman. Maybe that's a test for somebody that Dale Coyne has his eye on, because Roman Grosjean is the second domino that's going to fall. Grosjean's going somewhere.
He's a Buckeye, so he must be a good guy, Ryan Norman.
He is a Buckeye.
Yeah, you gotta like those Buckeyes every once in a while. So give it out to Ryan Norman on that.
The Buckeye. I think Roman Grosjean's the second domino to fall. Where he winds up, I don't know. Arrow McLaren wants to add a third car. I think Ferrucci's got the lock on that one. Andretti has 2 spaces open. Roman Grosjean in the DHL Honda.
That's what you want to see. So
that is what I want to see.
I think it'll come to fruition there. I think maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, that is what I want to see. Moving on, Arrow McLaren, Pato O'Ward in 8th place. Decent points haul, got what he could get. But the day was definitely set up by his 20th place qualifying effort. Felix Rosenquist finished 23rd. He was caught up in that first lap incident where it was just a racing incident, Timmy. and first race back from Detroit.
Yeah, they did not show up for qualifying. So, Award battled back. He did well. He got past there at the end. He was up a few positions. But yeah, he lost 2 spots, one to it was Grosjean and one to Herta, but Herta had to go back in the pits, like I mentioned earlier. So, yeah, not bad overall. Rosenquist, just wasn't there, right? He got caught up in that first lap incident. So,
yep,
tried to battle his way back. I think they had to fix the right rear on that vehicle, and then they put it back out on the track.
Yeah. So, not a great day by Aaron McLaren by any, even with an 8th place finish there. It is a championship season with awards in 2nd place, 39 points behind Palou. So that definitely plays into a little bit of that. So being able to finish 8th, having started 20th, I think is the best possible way that he could have taken it. He's a racer. I'm sure he wanted to finish better than that. I'm sure he had better plans than that. But to be able to salvage 8th place out of 20th, there's some passing at Mid Ohio for sure, but definitely starting up front in any race helps out in every effort with this. But being able to go from 20th to 8th, and he was pissed at the end of qualifying on Saturday. So he made his way through there. I think he did his best he possibly could. Rounding out, Sebastian Bourdais in 11th with AJ Foyt Racing. I think in that case, I think in all cases this year, Sebastian Bourdais is making the best with what he's got. And we watched, and we're both, I think, fans of Tony Kanaan. I don't think Kanaan was doing as well with Foyt last year in that car. I think Bourdais been able to bring it to a different level. I think there's been some different level of investment and some different technical support going on at Foyt for this year that's helping Sebastian as well. But 11th place finish in that Foyt team, I think, to me, best of what you got. I don't really know what else you can expect there.
Yeah, I think Bourdais at least gives that car at least a couple spots just by his talent. So that's probably a 13th, 14th place car, and he gets Bourdais going up to 11th in that car. So good for him.
Yeah. Finishes above replacement, right? Let's create a new category, like baseball, the wins above replacement. We could probably create the finishes above replacement. If somebody else were in that number 14 Foyt car, you'd probably be looking at a 14th or 15th place finish. But Sebastian Bourdais is able to pull it out. Dalton Kellett in 21st. Not a lot of TV airtime for Dalton there, unlike his 22nd place finisher, Jimmy Johnson. But nonetheless, that's where that is. Ed Carpenter Racing with Connor Daly finishing in 15th. Renus VK in 16th place. I mean, very quiet by Daly. Not a lot of fanfare going on there. So good finish by him. I don't think he's a road course guy. I think he does well, but I think with as tricky as Mid Ohio is, that's about the best we're going to get out of Daly. The fact that Renus VK, who I think is a good road course guy, with pins and plate in his shoulder, I think it's the best we could probably see out of him in this.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think so too. And Daly, he was back of the pack or mid pack, whatever you want to call that, most of the day, and just kind of rode around back there. I think he got some airtime for some of the work they're doing with the what is it, Dan? Help me out. They had the badges on the vehicle, so they were showing some of that on the airtime. So that was for one of the veterans. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so good for them. I think that's a good finish by them. 15th, 16th. Carlin Racing, Michael Shank Racing, 18th and 19th. Chilton in 18th. Harvey in 19th. I think Harvey had a tough race. He had a couple of things go wrong for him that just kind of put him behind.
It was qualifying that went wrong. He spun right before the checkered flag, which cost him his fastest lap, which cost him to not move on out of the first session, which then ruined their whole weekend. They couldn't do anything after that.
And caught Bourdais out as well, right? So that ruined Bourdais' qualifying as well, because he had to slow as he was coming over the hill to the finish.
Yep, that is true.
Because Shank was there. So, because Jack Harvey was there.
Yeah.
I think it's tough for single car teams. I mean, Harvey spun, I get it, right? But here you're looking at the 18th and 19th place finishers, okay? They were doing their deal. But if you go to the top teams in this thing from just yesterday, Penske, 4 teams. Ganassi, 4 teams. Andretti, 4 teams. Ray Hall Letterman, 3 teams. So someone like Carlin Racing that shows up week after week, and they're a good operation and they're good people, as you noted personally last week when you and I were in a production meeting, you talked about all of the great drivers that have come through the Carlin organization, and you're right. But it's a single car effort in IndyCar.
It is.
Meyer Shank Racing, a single car effort in IndyCar racing. They had the entire month of May. They had 2 cars there. They had the experience of someone like Helio Castroneves, whose, I think, vibe is contagious. So he's able to come in and he's able to lift up that team and bring it to a little different level. Helio's not there. They're still a single car team. It's a tough road course. 19th place finish, right? Castroneves comes back for Nashville in a month. So we'll see how that changes the results there. Maybe
that team will show up.
Yeah,
that team will show up as soon as you put Castroneves in that car. That team's going to show up. They're going to do really well. Chilton was really fast in final practice. I'm going to bring that up again. I know I brought it up last podcast, but he was 4th overall for the final practice, so he should have done better than he did in 18th. But maybe it goes to your theory that you need more cars to get more data in order to run better. But
he was 4th overall because Penske, Ganassi, Andretti, Ray Hall are just trundling around, making sure that there's no oil leaks. The air scoop thing didn't fly off, although they missed that on Rossi's car. Things of that nature. So when Chilton's out there for Carlin, running as hard as he possibly can, he gets to his 4th place finish.
Well, Dixon was 1 and Herta was 2 on final practice. So I don't know if that busts your theory or not.
I'm gonna let you keep driving that final practice theory.
He should have had a top 10 based on his final practice.
He should have. I'm sure there's somebody much better at math than I am. I try to keep it to just simple meathead math when I'm doing it, but somebody out there could probably crunch the numbers and determine where a final practice result and translates into a racing result. So
I'm calling Carlin headquarters this week just to say, hey, you guys, busted my theory this week with having good final practice and finishing top 10. So
you should record that call because I want to put it on the air.
Yeah, I'll make sure I record it for you.
The championship standings in the top 5, not much change here. Alex Palou in first place, Pato O'Ward 39 points behind second, Dixon 56 points behind in third, Newgarden 69 points behind. And
last race he was 88 right after the last race that we had. So he closed the gap here.
Made some gains there. And then Ericsson 104 points behind. Of course, the note there for top 5 is the Ganassi team, Palou, Dixon, and Ericsson. Ganassi's got this thing, and they're, when you look at it, I still feel like it's out of that top 3, Tim. I don't see anybody. Even with Newgarden having such a strong race this weekend, I just don't see
this weekend. It's not just this weekend. It's the last 3 weekends that they had really strong race cars. So you imagine if he would have been back to back winner, he'd be almost leading the points, if not leading the points. So I think they can come through. I think Newgarden and Team Penske can pull this off.
Yeah. I'd love to see that because, of course, I'm a Penske fan. I mean, it's what got me into IndyCar, in 1989. But I, continue to watch them and look at them and consider them every year or every weekend. I just think it's Ganassi. I really do. I think it's going to be Palou, O'Ward, or Dixon.
So let's go back. I want to go back a little bit to Palou, right? So
sure.
He passed 2 cars on the pit stop. Do you think Dixon was checking up a little bit in order to get him by the 2 cars? He was holding up Rossi a little bit there so he could get by in that second to last, or that last stop, I guess it would be.
I suppose it's possible. I don't think it's probable, only because I think that Chip runs that team where it's every man for himself, right? We don't run on team orders. We don't do any of that stuff. We're not championship racing. And the fact that Dixon is right there in it anyway, I don't see him helping anybody else out on that. So
Okay.
Dixon winning this thing from 56 behind wouldn't surprise me. Newgarden winning this thing from 69 points behind with 6 races to go would shock me. Is really how I feel about it.
So I don't recall, is the last race double points, because that's got to play into this, or did they get rid of that? I know Penske did not like it. Is that gone, or do we need to do some research on that?
Let's do some research on that. But I think it's gone. My gut tells me that I think
it was only Indy then, only Indy 500.
Yeah. So 6 races left in the season, going into a long break, kind of the summer break here, similar to what they do in Formula One. Because they were unable to come up with a replacement race for Toronto. I hate to see the momentum stopped. I think we had, a really good season going on right now. By all accounts, the TV ratings are really, really good, have been good with going into this. So I hate to see the momentum stopped on this. But I understand, with Toronto and the virus and the lingering effects of the virus in Canada, sort of pushes that. I'd rather see them do something smart than just pull something together last minute that just wouldn't be a good race for anybody. And then we go into the Nashville debut for the Music City Grand Prix by Big Machine Vodka. I had to do a little research this morning to find out if that was Big Machine Vodka, or there's also a Big Machine album label as well. So I wasn't sure. And honestly, I don't know if those two are intermingled. So somebody in the mailbag will definitely correct us, send us another Dear Knucklehead, I'm sure. But my name is Dan, by the way, to the Dear Knucklehead guy. So, it's going to be a cool street course around downtown Nashville. Nashville is a great town. It's a great place to be. They're going to go through or nearby the Nissan Stadium where the Tennessee Titans play, and then over the Korean War Veterans Memorial Bridge. And it is noted as the first motorsports course of its kind in the world to cross in the world.
This is big.
To cross a major body of water. Do you know what that body of water is, Tim?
It's a river.
Do you know what river it is?
I think I do. It's the Cumberland.
Yes. Good job, man.
Oh my goodness.
Good job on that one. You know your geography. Good job.
I try. I'm trying to get a houseboat down there, right?
Good job.
Get a houseboat, then you can go on Lake Cumberland, and it must kind of come through and go through downtown Nashville. I don't think you can do that on the boat, but
I think we should do a Turn 4 podcast houseboat and record live from the houseboat the entire weekend leading up to the action.
Underneath the bridge?
I think so.
It'll be fun. Hey, double points are gone, by the way.
Outstanding.
I don't want somebody in the mailbag yelling at me.
Look at that. Breaking news on the podcast as it happens.
It's not breaking. That was last year's news that I didn't realize it was still this year. So
it's breaking news to us, Timmy.
All right. Very good.
So, all right. Well, looking forward to Nashville. I'm sorry about the break. I don't know if I want to wait a month to put something else out there. So maybe we could try to put a subject together and get another podcast out here in the next couple of weeks. And
take your family on vacation, right? You got a month.
We
6 weeks.
We are. But what the downtime means.
So is Grosjean. His whole family is flying in today. Did you hear that?
And he's through the Midwest. How much fun is that going to be for him?
They got to go to Cedar Point.
At some point, don't you think?
They have to, right? That's part of the whole gig. Because some of the other drivers do that too, right? After
the Bourdais.
The Bourdais, yes, they're big Cedar Point people.
Yeah, the Bourdais do that between IMS and Indianapolis and the Detroit Grand Prix. So
and you've been there, right, Dan? Cedar Point.
I have once or twice.
Right.
So, but good times. Good times.
America's roller coaster. I don't know why I'm plugging them. I have no idea when.
Well, we're in search of sponsors, so to help keep this high quality podcast going.
We are.
So, but
speaking of sponsors, Expel.
Do you know what they are?
I do now because I looked them up, but
I did not. I'm so thrilled that you did this.
I had to look because obviously it was the winning car, right? So Expel was on the winning car, and through looking at race results and all that stuff, they were a title sponsor in Texas too for one of the races, right? The one that Pato won. Good for them. They do a lot of stuff when it comes to protection of paints. So as well as tint on windows. So I don't know if you use them for your tint, Dan, but Yeah.
I don't know.
Big organization there. Automotive window tint, as well as home office window film, as well as paint protection. So I guess if you ever see exotic cars and they have that film on it, that's what they make.
Is it like the paint protection that was on that Ford GT when we were at Mid Ohio, and it looked like it had a big scratch down the side of it because it was just in a select area, and I couldn't stop seeing it because my OCD was off the charts, and all I kept seeing was a big scratch on the fender of the
I
Ford
remember
GT.
that. I remember that.
Yeah.
I can't believe you picked up on that scratch, but I guess it can based on your OCD. But yeah, that might have been the film on the front. It wasn't scratched there. It was just where the film wasn't. So
yeah. So, oh well, we'll know. Well, hey, it was a pleasure. I think it was a good race. I'm again bummed about the month break. I hate blocking the momentum, but I'm glad that IndyCar didn't just do a race for race's sake and just slam something in there. I'm sure the drivers will appreciate it. I'm sure Renus VK's shoulder will definitely appreciate it. Will Power's wrist will appreciate it. So, any final words on this thing, Tim?
No, it's been great. Good hanging out with you again, Dan. It's been a while, a couple of weeks, and now we got till August 8th. So we've got some time here to think about some additional content, but obviously I can't wait for Nashville. Can't wait to see how that race goes on and, how they promote it and everything else. It looks like they're doing a good job there. And from what I heard on the broadcast, a bunch of celebrities are showing up. So I'm kind of curious who's going to be there.
Yeah, they're doing it right. So that's good. It's good to see a new venue come online like that. I hope that it's able to continue on and really see this thing and pull it together. Like I said, I like Nashville. I'm thrilled to see that come together. It should be a good race. That's for sure. I think where we're at with that, but any plans for today?
Yeah, barbecue. I think it's still the holiday, right? It's Monday the 5th. It's the day that everybody has off from work. So we're going to do some barbecue this afternoon with some family and friends. How about yourself?
We got some tentative plans that could come together with some family, but haven't pulled it together just yet. Whatever it is that happens, be it those plans come together or if it's just hanging out here on the couch and, just catching up and just recharging the batteries, I'm totally fine with that too. So I'm of an age where I don't mind binge watching some things on streaming services and just chilling out at home. So I'd be totally fine with that. All right. So with that, this is the Turn 4 podcast and our review of the Mid Ohio race. And thank you for listening and look forward to the next one and stay tuned. You will definitely see something happen in the interim between now and Nashville. We'll pull something together. So thanks as always, and continue to write in and give us your feedback. We appreciate that. Enjoy your 4th of July holiday bleed into Monday, and we'll catch you on the next time. Thanks, everybody.
See y'all.